It's the Donna Adelson trial. It starts next week and her lawyer says she is taking the stand. It didn't work for Charlie or Katie, and Garcia and Rivera are both behind bars. But she thinks she can beat the rap.
I didn't do this.
Does she think she's smarter than the prosecutor? Does she think she can get sympathy from the jury? We'll show you why the first thing she intends to tell them is a lie.
Not what happened.
All that and what it means for your weekend on the Comm Center. Wake up, America. It's the Comm Center with Drew Breezy. It's a TV show on the internet about two best friends who are called by a small town sheriff to investigate when all the Thursdays disappear from the calendar. I'm John. I'm an actual 911 dispatcher. I've been doing that job in my community for 10 years, joined as always by Drew Breezy. Fake name, authentic cop. Drew, today we're going to talk about the arrest of Donna Adelson. Super satisfying after all these years of freedom that she's had. Obviously being a shot caller in the murder conspiracy of Dan Markell, which, by the way, if you want to know more about that, make sure you check out all of these videos. We've got a whole playlist of content here to get you up to speed before the trial starts shortly. She thought she was going to make her way out of the country. We'll talk about her attorneys just announced that she intends to testify on the stand, possibly as an early birthday gift to me. She's going to get on the stand and explain why that was. Let's check out this news clip.
Donna Adelson's defense team making a final effort to permit testimony about convicted co-conspirator Luis Rivera's involvement in the Latin Kings. Her defense says that particular gang, the Latin Kings, explains her fear and her actions after an undercover operation by a federal agent.
Her state of mind, her level of fear, is that it's not just that she learned he was a Latin King, but that he was the leader of one of the branches of the Latin Kings in South Florida. That heightened her fear. And of course, she will testify to that.
Apparently, she intended to flee because she was afraid of the Latin Kings, a powerful street gang that has no sense of humor, despite all their gang members having whimsical street names like Tuto, Tato, and of course, Tater Cakes. However, the timing of this all still doesn't make any sense at all. If that was her reason, she would have fled during the trial, or as soon as she found out that the Latin Kings were even involved. Of course, she waited for Charlie's conviction. Who is she kidding? We're going to show you her original explanation for flying to Vietnam. And the explanation during this bond hearing is different than what she intends to present next week. It's super satisfying to see her finally being held to account. I've done quite a bit of Donna Adelson research at this point. I realized that there's really two Donna Adelsons. There's the pushy, bossy one who likes to meddle in the lives of her children, and the one that likes to tell her husband what to do. You'll see a little bit of that today. And then there's the little downtrodden Donna that's just a frail old woman. She's a sweet old grandma. She couldn't do these things. So I want you to pay special attention to Donna Adelson today as we go through this and try to figure out who the real Donna is. Drew, anything else before we get going?
There's always a thought in investigations and in law enforcement world where, or even the legal process, where the punishment is the process. If she's been waiting all of this time and then gets arrested, do you know how many sleepless nights she's had? Do you know how many sleepless nights Charlie's had before this? So it's not like she has her freedom and all that prior to her arrest, but she was in her own prison already, and well-deserved. Evidence shows that they orchestrated this, and juries have agreed. So,
as someone who worked in a prison, though, I assure you the real prison is worse than the imagined prison.
I get it, but and she's obviously innocent until proven guilty.
Let's start with the phone calls, because that's how the arrest happened. We've got these, at one point we had wiretaps going, but we ran out of need for those when they started just communicating by phone from the Leon County Jail.
This is a prepaid collect call from an incarcerated individual at the Leon County Jail. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. To accept charges and consent to this recorded call, press 1. Thank you for using Securus.
So they agreed that it's fine that someone review this phone call or even monitor it live. They were told beforehand that this could be heard. Let's listen to the voice of Donna Adelson as she talks to Charlie, who's in the Leon County Jail.
Make a decision at some point. So after speaking to Dan this morning and knowing what they're thinking up there. And I don't know if we'll make it out in time. I really don't. Because Dan said, you might, or you might do all of it, get to the airport, and they'll stop us. And that could happen. It could happen. I don't know, but it's worth a try.
So they're getting advice from their lawyer that they should try to leave the country. Doesn't seem like the most scrupulous advice. Drew, we've talked about some attorneys recently about how they operate by a canon of ethics that's defined by the law, but maybe not the same thing as commonplace morality. You'd think that a lawyer would at least worry about their clients leaving the country, about them getting paid, right? Or do they just think they could put a lien on things and they're going to come out fine?
Yeah, I think there are two separate bills being paid here. One by the by the Adelsons, one by Charlie Adelson, because he had enough assets and all kinds of stuff to probably pay this attorney pretty
The
well.
lawyer knows he's going to get that dillion.
Yeah.
But Wendi, this whole time during the trial, obviously she testified against her brother. There's been a falling out. Wendi is actually not talking to Donna or Charlie about the case. And we're kind of holding back to see if maybe Wendi was involved. So Donna is writing a letter to Wendi. And she's reading all of this letter to Charlie on a recorded line to see what he thinks of it.
We will need to give you some information shortly, and we need some business assistance. Please let us know if you can be of any help. I have a safe here. I want to give her codes. We're going to be gone. I want her to have all this information. I have the cemetery property. I want her to see all that. I want her to have all these papers and the wills. I want her to see all this. So please let us know if you can be of any help. The other thing is the visa, which she would know about. No, I said we need some business assistance. Please let us know. If not, we'll try to find someone who can help us. This needs an immediate reply so I can start asking other people to help.
So what's so urgent? She says she needs immediate help from Wendi, and she needs Wendi to start looking at some of the family business and some of the family assets. She mentions specifically the fact that Donna and Harvey have recently already purchased their cemetery plots, which great Christmas or Hanukkah gift, just to keep in mind. But I can't help but notice that if that's an asset that she wants to liquidate or something that she even wants to talk about, Drew, is it possible that a cemetery plot in the United States is something that she's never going to make any use out of if her plan succeeds?
That's possible. She, to put a little context into this, this was a text message that she was sending to Wendi after like a terse exchange the two had. And she was lamenting to Charlie about this whole thing. She's basically saying, just the build up to this was like, why at least check on your brother. And Wendi replied with, look, the case is over. I don't know why you keep, my attorneys have told me not to talk to you about the case. I'm not going to talk to you about the case. I don't want to talk about this. So
she's smarter than the rest of them. She knows that Charlie, Donna, and Harvey and others all talking to each other about the hit on Dan Markel is what got them sunk.
Yeah.
One at a time, the dominoes all fell, to mix metaphors, and she realizes that the only way to not be that next domino is to get out of line. Stop talking to these people about what's going on. They keep trying to rope her in. She's smart enough to get out, and I think that's maybe the reason why she's the last domino to fall. But it's funny that they want to employ her to help liquidate their assets and execute their final American wishes.
Yeah. She said, look, if the plane goes down, no one's going to know what to do. And we're trying to, and by the way, what she's saying about the visa. So there's a little background here. Wendi used to be the executive director of some sort of a not-for-profit that dealt in immigration issues for indigent people. So she knows about visa processes and all these other things.
She also knows about final wishes. If we remember back during the episode where we talked about Wendi's interrogation, she talked about how she had mentioned to Dan, final directives and final wishes and
wills. Yeah.
You had wills and durable plans. So Wendi's like your go-to person that you would, if you wanted to flee the country and have them to be the executor of your estate, she could set that up easily.
We have the photos. We have to get them downloaded. And the other thing I don't understand that my daughter could help me with, but we've been looking it up over and over because things change. if there is extradition from Vietnam. Because we've looked at all the places. I mean, I could go to Korea and China, but there's no extradition. But we're looking for places where there's no extradition. Maybe she knows about. Maybe she can look up the extradition issue before we waste our time.
She can tell on you that my parents are in the country. My lawyer told us to do that. Okay, but if you mention it to Wendi, is Wendi going to tell somebody?
Well, you tell her beforehand. I need to tell you something as an attorney who doesn't talk.
She wants to talk to Wendi with client confidentiality.
Right.
So this is a little bit more than just having Wendi, who's a skilled attorney, take care of her estate or answer questions about visas. And I think that all goes without saying, because who is concerned with extradition if vacation is what you're after?
It has nothing to do with the case. It just has to do with Mom and I and some decisions that we have to make.
See how she says it has to do with Mom and I? I think she's using Harvey's phone to write this. I think she realizes that Wendy's sick of her.
Yeah.
Sure. We've been spit. So here we are. We're at the gate to a flight to Vietnam. Drew, you're someone that flies a lot.
Yes.
You get pissed when people are getting fucking arrested that keeps you from boarding the plane. Hey, before you do anything else, make sure you're doing all those YouTube things. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with the Comm Center. We answer 99.9% of comments, so make sure you leave yours below.
I think the international flight community, the people that fly internationally like this, are like, we got a little time built in. Like, we'll make it up in the air. I think once everybody got on the plane and got settled in their lay flat seats and all that, and now we're being held up and we're ready to go, I think it's a different story. I think
they are being held up because, as far as I understand it, Harvey is not under arrest.
No, he's not. And they're trying to make a decision of whether he's going to go or not.
It's nice that the rest of the plane is willing to delay their travel plans, waiting for Harvey to make a decision.
I have the feeling they were probably amongst the first aboard because, first of all, they're saving money on the round trip. They're only putting their money into a one-way ticket, so you might as well go, first class all the way. They have the elderly thing on their side, so even if this were Southwest, they would be pre-boarding because they need extra time to find their seats.
This is at the Miami airport.
Hi, how are you? You have an ID?
She just looks annoyed, like she knew this was coming. Watch this next move, though, as she immediately attempts to use her phone.
No, I don't want to give it to you. Why do I have to?
Because my attorney said not to.
Why do I have to give it to you? This is evidence. Evidence.
Drew, what's the importance of immediately depriving her of her phone?
She can't call anybody else. She can't call anybody and warn them that, hey, the cops are coming. I mean, she's under arrest at that point. You have no more. You don't have, like, you have the constitutional rights, obviously, but you're not, like, free to do anything anymore. Your freedoms have been restricted by this arrest. And the people have spoken. It's been through the process where the judge has signed the warrant or the indictment or whatever it was, and they tell her, you are under the arrest for the murder of Dan Markel, and it's like any other defendant. Like, they don't have the right to just start calling shots and like, well, I'm going to make a phone call to my attorney and like, no.
I would have just said, listen, Donna, you've made enough phone calls. That's why we're all here today. I was supposed to be watching my son's baseball game, but you had to fucking decide that you were going to flee the country on a recorded line to a jail. We told you we were recording it. So enough tomfoolery, Donna. You're going to jail.
Yeah.
I have to go with you. I have to go. I have to look at the work. Let me help you out. No, I have to stay. Please don't do this. Don't stay. You need to grab the bags. Take the bags. Yeah. And you need to wait outside. Okay.
My husband's almost 80 years old. He can't come with me?
Please, can I go?
No, you can't join me there.
Oh, don't do this, please.
Please.
Oh,
Someone's got to help him get home. This is terrible. You can't do this. This is insane.
This is insane.
You know, do people typically kind of argue with you about the sanity of the plan? I
Yeah,
mean, the police are there executing a warrant,
he
but
does.
this is only the tip of a whole spear, right? Like a judge has signed off on this. A judge says there's enough cause to arrest you. It's not just somebody like making a gut decision at the last moment on whether or not to nab you.
If I were Harvey, to be honest, I think I'd just start kind of casually strolling backwards down the jetway. But you know, she's, oh, this is insane, and you know, like all these dramatic words, like, dude, like that phone that we just took from you, it has indicted you 50 times over. So let's not talk about what's insane here.
Is that okay with you? Please, finish that with handcuffs on. She's not going anywhere.
He kind of makes a good point. I hate to bring this up, but do you remember the case of, I think his name was Brian Cohey, but he's like the young man, 18, 19, went out in the middle of the night, cut the head off a homeless guy, brought it home, put it in his closet.
Right. So parents have some concerns of some stuff they may have found in your room? Yeah, I believe so. And what would it be?
A human head and hands.
Okay, Brian.
Thank you.
No problem, sir. So walk with me. We're gonna walk right this way, okay?
You're fine with me not being in cuffs.
I'm fine with you not being in cuffs.
They arrested him, did not put him in handcuffs. He was decidedly more unhinged than Donna. He did not get handcuffs. Drew, if you're making this arrest of this 77-year-old woman, or however old she is, you doing the handcuffs?
Yes.
Tell us why.
I'm doing the handcuffs for a few reasons. Number one, I don't know what NDPD is, or if this is, I think that's Miami-Dade PD there. I don't know what their procedure is. Their procedure might be to not only to handcuff anybody that's under arrest, but to handcuff them behind their back. Like some departments have a,
Don't ever handcuff someone in front.
yeah, unless you have like a butler chain or something, but some departments are very specific about where you handcuff. There's always going to be discretion, but I'm saying, me personally, for the Markel family, you didn't give Dan Markel any opportunity to, you know what I mean? Like, fuck you.
Let me ask you, well, you just said fuck you. Let me ask you though, because this is something I felt quite a bit. When you're a law enforcement officer, or in my case, a correctional officer, you have discretion, like you said. You have discretion for how you're going to treat someone. And as long as you're treating them fairly, and as long as you're being professional, it's fine. But have you ever done anything professionally that was just kind of as a fuck you? Because I have. I mean, I used to walk the walls inside the prison, and I would think for every inmate in here, there's a victim out there.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me mad because I would see these guys living their best lives. Some of them love being in prison. Like, it was nothing to them. They'd been institutionalized since they were children. It was fun. It's the structure that they need to thrive. And, you know, as long as I was being professional, as long as I was obeying the rules and regulations of the facility, and as long as I was being professional and courteous, which I would do, I would often employ that discretion to the most of my ability, simply to, I guess, act as an agent of karma, maybe, if not justice. And I feel like that's the situation here, because yeah, she's not going to run away, but this, you know, she did orchestrate the murder of her son-in-law. And I think that the embarrassment of walking through Miami airport with her hands cuffed behind her back is pretty minor compared to the number of lives that she destroyed. Like, this isn't even comparable to the neighbor who found Dan Markel murdered. Like, the trauma that he endured, the trauma that she's about to endure of walking through the airport handcuffed doesn't even comparable to that, right?
I'll guarantee that they got this indictment or warrant based on her potential. She's fleeing the country. So
Right.
she's showing that she's willing to go to great lengths to escape.
She's willing to do anything, and she knows what she's up against. This is the rest of her life. And this is the same thing as when we move people on death row. We take maximum precautions because there's a certain type of person who has nothing to lose, and Donna just became that person.
So if she is a literal flight risk, flight in the sense of not the flight to Vietnam, but flight as in flee from her charges. If she is a literal flight risk, you are making the defense's argument that she should be deserted. She's owed some type of bond because she's not a flight risk. You put her in handcuffs, you're demonstrating for sure, I believe that she's a flight risk. She was getting on a plane to fly out of here. We have her passports in our hands. Like, it's not just for show. It's part of the procedure. It's part of the legal procedure. And it's a belief that she could flee. She could escape at some point. I don't think that she's going to get very far with, being surrounded by FBI agents and Miami-Dade PD and police officers from the airport. That's reasonable. But, the other part of this is, I think we've become too comfortable with the liberties in this country where, like, oh, they don't have to do this or they don't have to do that. Yeah, it's not just but because they can, it's because they should.
Right.
And it's like, so we're not extending a privilege. Oh,
Also, like, suppose the worst possible thing happened. Suppose she lunged and got somebody's gun. Like,
Yeah.
damn it, we could have avoided that just by following procedure, But when it comes to her bond, we're actually going to talk about that here in a little bit.
Okay.
Please. Do you have anything in your pocket?
No.
Do you have anything of value in you?
No, I
Does she have a necklace on? You can take the necklace.
Yeah, take it off. Yeah.
And the earrings.
And the earrings, the rings, take everything. You give it to your husband. Because once you arrive at County Jail, they're gonna make you remove all that.
can I call my attorney?
You have a passport already?
Where am I going?
Open your finger.
Where am I going?
You're going to the Dade County Jail.
Dade County Jail. No, this is right here. The one.
You're making a mistake.
I do like Harvey saying, you're making a big mistake here. Like the officers are going to go,
You're right, Harvey. We can see reason and they shred the warrant.
cover. Yep.
It's another mistake.
Listen to me.
Yeah. I'll call.
Get an Uber, go home.
I will.
Take
I will.
it easy.
I will.
All right?
Yes.
Here, honey.
See, that's the side of Donna and Harvey that I wanted everybody to see, because I postulated on this show that Harvey maybe didn't have the stomach for murder. And some people in the comments have said, Harvey flew off the handle. Harvey was, he was a loose cannon, hot-tempered. That's not the Harvey I see right here, which, there's a lot of play acting going on. But I see Donna telling him what to do. Get in an Uber, go home, take it easy. He was getting ready to call the attorney. He thought that's what Donna was about to order. But she's ordering him to leave the scene, I think, because, she doesn't know about the warrant. She thinks some of this is happening on a whim. I think she thinks that a cop's going to have like a good thought, like, why don't we take Harvey too? Harvey goes to Dade County Jail as well.
She knows. And you know what? There may be a calculation in keeping him out, or like all along keeping these people out of jail. I'll get to that at the end.
Yeah.
The license, the address on your license is correct?
Yes.
Do you need anything else from her?
Can I ask
Or
you
we're good to
something?
go?
Can someone just get my husband outside and so
I'll get him. All right, the gentleman here will assist him.
All right. So now outside, I believe this may actually be in the parking structure of the airport. But Wendi is waiting to be transported to the jail. She gets patted down, put in the car. They do a great job of that. She begins being so extra right now. And I know it's hot in the car. It's hot in Miami. But she's asking for water. She wants the AC turned on, which, by the way, when you've got that Lexon divider between the front and the back, you're not getting any air conditioning. It's not happening. And then she starts pumping the deputies for information about her arrest. I've also read, Drew, just that there's YouTube channels that break down her activity logs at jail. And they they write things like Donna or Adelson did get her lotion, because she constantly implies, and we'll talk about this too, that she's not getting things that are coming to her. So she's very, very needy and very, very extra when in custody.
So the next case was the warrant. What did you say? What did you say the next case was? The warrant.
See, what happened is the warrant that they have on was about Leon County.
When should they issue a warrant?
So what happened is he have to take you. So our warrants you for that information to get entered, and then as directed.
I like how she's trying to pump the deputy. So how did this warrant get issued? And the deputy doesn't know shit. He's just there to transport her to jail. So because he not only does he not know the answer, but he wouldn't give it to her anyway. Because why give her insight into the legal process? That's what her lawyer's for. He's telling her the clerical parts of it. Well, the warrant gets issued and then it has to be put into FCIC, which is the computer database for warrants. And he's explaining how, we'll find you and we'll get the warrant confirmed. And like, none of this shit matters to Donna at all. But it's just, she's trying to use this occasion to figure out what went wrong, how her brilliant scheme to flee the country was foiled. And the deputy is either playing dumb or actually is dumb, which is fine for this occasion.
Enter it before you can take it to the jail. We'll look at yeah.
Okay, because I didn't know there was a warrant. How would I know that?
Or we wouldn't have been able to thank you if there wasn't something to create.
So aren't they supposed to inform? Or are they supposed to inform me if there was a warrant?
Well, I don't know the beat, Fred. They had a warrant, and the gentleman that you met earlier in the playing fools, yes, right. If they were supposed to inform you of whatever, then
she's for a person who's very in command. She's not someone who's crying or going to tears. She's put off by her arrest, but she's not thrown. She's not a weak person.
No.
But the Donna Adelson that we're about to see is very different because 15 and a half months later, or 470 days, Donna Adelson has a change of bond hearing. She's been in Leon County Jail for all that time. And in this hour-long hearing, which was 90% her explaining to her own defense attorney in front of the judge what's been going on in Leon County Jail, she talks about how she hasn't received proper medical care. Her back hurts. She's having chronic pain. She's being shaken down for commissary by Large Marge and her gang of female inmates. She's got complaints about being a general population, about what danger she's in while she's in general population. She has complaints about being in solitary and how she doesn't like being in solitary either. She doesn't like being a GP. She doesn't like being in solitary. Sounds to me like she just doesn't like being in jail. She sounds ungrateful. But she also mentions, well into the hearing, that she had been sexually assaulted in the shower, which to me is burying the lead. I think if you're trying to make the case that you're not having a good time in jail, you start with that.
Yeah.
And then once everyone gets a load of what happened to you in the shower, then maybe mention the back pain and maybe mention being shaken down for commissary. But that's how you kind of know that the main complaints that Donna had about being in jail were in no particular order, which is not how you and I would handle it. But here's Donna on the stand. She's already made the case for about 90 minutes why she should be released from custody in Leon County. But the state prosecutor, and I don't know if it's the same one that we saw in the last episode, but she's just as sharp, begins to take Donna to task for all the reasons that she asked to be let out of prison. And what does she say about her plans to leave the country?
You said that if you are given a bond, you will reside in Tallahassee, you will follow court orders. But when you were afraid of being arrested right after Charlie Adelson's trial, isn't it true that you hoped that you could get to the airport before you were arrested?
I wasn't afraid of being arrested.
What were you trying to get to the airport in time for? In that jail?
My husband and I literally shocked and traumatized at what had happened to Charlie.
Oh, the truth comes out. I guess it wasn't, the fucking Latin King scaring you out of this country. It was the trauma of Charlie and everything that happened with the trial. But now it's the Latin Kings.
Shocked and traumatized at what happened to Charlie is I would say an emergent or an immediate response. Not like, hey, let's book some tickets to Vietnam 7 days after the fact. Let's get dressed in our comfortable travel clothes and our Nike hats and make sure we pack a carry-on and let's get our business affairs in order. Yeah, you're shocked and traumatized because you know what he did and you know what you did.
Well, throughout those phone calls, Charlie kept saying I should have trusted my gut, which to me implied that like he had considered fleeing the country too, but decided to stay and weather it.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, I don't want anything to happen to you guys. And then he kind of would imply that, one of them would have some sort of acute medical problem or something. But
Sure.
here's Donna. Now her attitude completely changed on the stand.
And he said, we need to just get some peace. We need to catch our breath. We're going to go away somewhere. And I thought it was a good idea because I couldn't think straight. I really couldn't think straight. I was so upset, and so was he. And it was his idea. I said, sweetheart, let's go.
It was his idea. I like how we can still constantly make someone else in this family a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
Fleeing the country wasn't my idea. It's Harvey's. And you obviously don't think Harvey did anything because you didn't arrest him. So he's someone I could lay the blame at his feet because Harvey's still good, right?
Yeah. She's on the stand being questioned as to why she was going to flee. And she's basically saying, no, I was just tag along.
I was just, doing whatever Harvey said to do, which is totally what we just saw in her interaction with Harvey.
We're going to just get away somewhere so we could have some time to think.
Yeah. Good.
Okay, so your testimony is that you weren't trying to go to Vietnam because you wouldn't be able to be extradited from there.
So my husband actually had said, we'd been to Vietnam before with friends. We were on vacation, and it really was like a place of peace.
You heard it here first, folks. Vietnam is a place of peace.
He said, if we go to a non-extradition country, then if the law enforcement decided that they wanted to arrest you or me, or whatever, both, he said, we won't be sitting in a foreign prison waiting months to go back. We can buy a ticket and we can go home. And my understanding was that I could go home and I could turn myself in if that's what they wanted.
Okay. But you were hoping to make it out of America in time before you were arrested, right?
I wanted to get away.
Yes. I mean, that's not even a Freudian slip. I wanted to get away. I mean, maybe come up with a better explanation other than I was trying to flee.
I wanted to get away with murder.
He wanted to get away. That's what we wanted to do. And it wasn't, we spoke to our attorneys. I asked them, they said there's no pending. We purposely called them to make sure it was legal.
We purposely called them because we knew this was coming. We knew that we were about to be indicted for murder. We just double checked to make sure that we could still get out.
And she has so far blamed her attorneys. She blamed Harvey. She kind of blamed Charlie because that's what caused
it was his trauma. Yeah.
She's never said, look, I just wanted to fly to Vietnam. What's the big deal? Like, I'm a big fan of the fish head soup that they have. You know what I mean? Like she has no reason other than that. And she's saying, no, we just figured it's an extradition issue. Then we could just come back on our own schedule. I can turn myself in if, God forbid, we're arrested. But yeah,
this is consistent. This is normal inmate behavior. Blame everyone else.
Yep.
And also not really ever making a point to say, I didn't do this or anything like that.
Right.
People would often say to me, like, when I worked in the prison, like, oh, you must get people telling you all the time that they're not guilty. I'm like, no one ever mentions that to me at all. People are never trying to con me into thinking they didn't do it. They'll just explain why it wasn't their fault. And that's what Don is up to.
That's exactly right. Big difference.
What were their words? There's no pending charges and there's no warrants. So we want to go. So I thought you asked your attorneys and they tell you that. I'm going.
But Dan did tell you, as you say in the jail call, that knowing what they're thinking out there, I don't know if you'll make it out in time. I really don't. But he said you might, or you might get to the airport and they'll stop you. It could happen.
That's what he said.
Right. So you went to the airport knowing that it could happen. They could stop you at the airport. You could end up being arrested.
Yes, that's what Dan said.
Right. And when you were looking at places to go those couple of days after Charlie Adelson's trial, you were specifically looking, though, for countries that did not have extradition with the U.S.
For the reason I just told you.
Right. And the reason that you're saying that you were looking for countries with no extradition was so that you could get that faster in order to be arrested in the U.S.
No, that's not what I said. It's because, I don't know, maybe we watch too much TV or too many movies, but I've seen movies where people are stuck in like third world prisons and waiting and waiting and waiting. And my feeling was, this is not what will want to happen if the state says they want us to come back. We'll buy a ticket, we'll come back on our own terms.
So the bullet points of this presentation are, she does not want to go to jail and she wants to do things on her own terms. This is the case she's making for herself.
How about this? Like, you don't want to go to a third world prison. How about Italy? How about France? Like, I know that they have extradition agreements, so you're probably going to be sitting in prison, but they're not third world.
Go to Norway. You go to jail in Norway. It's better than any hotel in Illinois.
I guarantee it. Yeah.
I don't have to be sitting in a jail somewhere. We'll come back home and turn ourselves in.
Couldn't you have done that no matter what country you went to?
No.
No? You couldn't have found out that you had a warrant for your arrest and come back if there was an extradition?
Well, not if they would. I'm not in law enforcement, but it appears that they would notify law enforcement in that country, and then they could hold you in a jail for God knows how long. And I don't want that to happen. So he said, well, that's why we'll do it this way, honey. That way, if they do notify us, so we get a phone call from our attorney or from law enforcement, then we'll buy a ticket, we'll go home.
Okay.
And so it would have been on our terms.
We'll buy a ticket and go home. So she was going not to rest and relax, but for an indefinite amount of time. As you mentioned earlier, they saved a little airfare by not buying round-trip tickets. So she literally bought a one-way ticket to Vietnam, and we're supposed to believe she would just come back whenever we asked her to.
Yeah. She's just open-ended. Like, how about this? If that were the case, why not buy a round-trip ticket and then just change the date as needed? Like,
save a little money, announce your intent to return to the jurisdiction of the United States.
It just like, if you're going for a little rest and relaxation to recharge.
Honestly, if you just want to be smarter than these cops that you think are so dumb, just buy a round-trip ticket, because that undercuts the case to the judge that you're fleeing the country. Because if it says here that you paid to come back, at least your attorney could say, like, well, they're not fleeing. They've got tickets right here to return on the 19th.
Make it for 60 days. And then on the 50th day, if you're not recharged and over this traumatic situation with your son being imprisoned, you just renew it for 60 more days. Like, this was a clear attempt to escape. And, she's just like Charlie on the stand, as we saw in the last episode, has an answer for everything. This is why we did it. It's never the truth. It's just like, this is why we did it. This is what our attorney said. This is what law enforcement.
Yeah, and I love how, too, like, our attorney didn't say we couldn't do it. So, I mean, I guess the attorney was smart enough not to say anything to her that he knew later would come out in court that would maybe get him the appearance of impropriety. But that doesn't mean that your attorney's advice was to do it. He just didn't say that you couldn't.
And by the way, the attorney's advice is probably more like, look, I can't tell you what to do.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to be a co-conspirator.
But, it's in theory. Or in a
all of a sudden, if this thing goes RICO and he's giving them advice to leave the country, he's getting arrested too. So
right.
Then he's just a mob lawyer at that point.
Hypothetically speaking, if you were to get on a plane to, say, Korea, China, or Vietnam, that's probably the advice that the attorney gave.
That was the point. That was the reason that he thought that was a good idea.
Before you continue, Miss Dugan, we are over time. If you please can get to your most pertinent questions.
Yes.
So the judge is like, we are overtime, even though the defense has talked for 90 minutes and you have watched moment for moment of the prosecution. This so far is uncut. Judge is like, listen, I'm not changing the bond anyway. Can we get on with it?
Yeah, like you made your point.
I guess your testimony ultimately, though, is that you were not trying to go to a country with no extradition because you were trying to avoid being held accountable for this charge. That's your testimony?
Being held, I didn't do this. Okay, being held accountable for this is not what happened.
Being arrested for this case.
Being arrested?
Right. That was not what you were trying to avoid by trying to go to a non-extradition country.
We were trying to get our heads on straight and just breathe.
That's all that happened.
And you couldn't do that in Gulf Shores, Alabama, by the way. You couldn't maybe do that in Telluride.
Spoiler alert, the bond was not changed and she remains in custody to this day. The idea, by the way, that she was going to get on electronic monitoring. Well, final thoughts on this when she was complaining about the warrant and she wanted to know about all that happening and why wasn't she informed? It's probably because law enforcement knew that if the warrant for her arrest was coming and agents were going to meet her at the airport, she and Harvey probably would have chartered a yacht to Cuba and flown from there, like they would have immediately gone to the next closest thing. They would have immediately slipped out of our grasp.
Jet skis.
Jet skis, yeah. Possibly a decommissioned Soviet submarine at night. I don't know. I don't know how people get away, but the judge didn't buy it, didn't change her bond, but she got to kind of test that out, and she knows that the jury's not going to buy it either. So, because she's not very good at it, she puts on this act of this traumatized grandma person who just is being washed away by the grief and torture of everything that's happened to her. It's all the things that are going wrong in her life. And these same phone calls, she says, I feel like our family is cursed. Well, you hired someone to kill Dan Markel, so whose family is really cursed? I think you're the curse of your own family, Donna, and it's absolutely satisfying to see the very beginning of everything that's coming to her. And in some ways, I know this is just the system of fair play where she's innocent until proven guilty. But in her mind and in her heart still abides the fragile hope that she will not die behind bars. And watching that hope flee from her eyes.
Yes. To Vietnam.
Watching that hope fly to Vietnam without her is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for the trial of Donna Adelson. When all the facts get laid out, when she gets held to account for everything, when she's got to answer questions, either on the stand or through her attorney. It's going to be interesting to watch. I don't know if some of these people are going to come back. Oscar Jimenez, the FBI agent, he must be getting really long in the tooth at this point, unable to retire from this case. It just keeps coming back. It's going to be a lot of fun. Drew, any final thoughts on Donna Adelson? You ever dealt with a suspect like that? Or
I wish we could cut to her to footage of her in Leon County Jail, and she's got a cigarette. She's throwing down like the ace of spades, like they're playing Bid Whiz or whatever, and she's just like, take that, bitch, and she's got the cigarette in her mouth.
Well, that's what's hilarious, because she claimed that, Large Marge, the shot caller, was shaking her down in the bathroom, and she would force her to order commissary with her money for what Large Marge wanted, and that she would be forced to sneak the commissary into the bathroom for the exchange, because, that's where the camera coverage is minimal, and so she would be sneaking chips under her shirt in there for Large Marge, and it's just like, there's a totally different way to interpret that. First of all, Donna Adelson, as we saw, heard on the phone calls and at the airport, she's a person very, very in command of her faculty. She's not a weak person at all. I read that situation as she was paying for protection in the bathroom. Bathrooms are places where bad stuff happens in jail. And if she could say that this person was always shaking her down in the bathroom every single time that she went there, it couldn't be disproven with camera footage, because all it would show is that this person she was paying off was always in the bathroom, maybe to protect her.
Yeah, it's
And she didn't name any of these people who were shaking her down in jail either. She complained that she was in some kind of danger, and so to protect her, they moved her to solitary confinement. Is there any reason? I mean, I guess there's the practical reason that, snitches kinda get stitches, but, is there any reason why she couldn't have named the people who were shaking her down so that they could have been removed to solitary confinement? She didn't cooperate with authorities at any point inside jail.
it's the theme of the case. It's the exact theme of the case. Like, there's an explanation for everything. Like, no, I'm not being extorted anywhere in general population where any cameras can see me. But the minute I get out of camera's view and you can't prove otherwise, I'm being molested in there. Like, that's exactly how the entire case has been.
Yeah. She said about the person that felt her up in the shower that person's already been discharged from jail, so there's no reason to there's no reason why she should have, possibly mentioned that this names on this assault taking place. It's like, well, she's just trying to make the case that Leon County Jail is dangerous, and
Yeah.
it remains dangerous for her. But here's the thing, Donna. If the judge ruled that Leon County Jail is no place for a person like you, well, it's really no place for anyone, and then we don't have jails anymore. So I don't know why that was the basis of your case, but
Fuck you.
yeah.
So like I'm waiting for she's just falling short of saying, "You're treating me like a common criminal here." And yeah, that's
Well, that was actually how her cross-examination by the state started, um, or how her examination by the defense started was this question: prior to your arrest at Miami Airport for this murder charge, how many times in your life have you ever been arrested for criminal behavior? Not once. She immediately establishes herself as not a common criminal, which I don't know if you're a judge and you're wise, it could just mean like, well, you've never been caught for anything. So
yeah.
you being arrested doesn't mean shit.
All right, just a little investigative note, because I used to do this with prisoners. I used to do this on wiretaps as well. There's a reason why you don't arrest the husband and wife. That's pretty simple.
They cannot arrest a husband and wife for the same crime.
Well,
you don't have room in your car.
Who is she going to call? If they're both in jail, who's she going to call?
Oh, good point.
If you leave him out, at least you got a chance.
She going to call somebody and say something to him?
Right. So yeah, it's probably done just like again, another theme in the case is probably like,
I gotta admire the patience of the state's attorney, just how they have one by one taken these people out. And it's taken a long time.
Dismantled. And they have dismantled this like one by one. And some pretty hardened criminals, by the way, like very meticulously just.
And I think they went about it in a smart way, not only like poking at the weakest link, which was, maybe Catherine Magbanwa, or just the leverage that they had over Luis Rivera, but they obviously got the most dangerous people off the streets first, which were Garcia and Rivera, two people who are willing to pull a trigger, and Latin Kings members or associates. They got those people off the streets, so they protect the public. But then, the old people who aren't going to hurt anybody, they're waiting to scoop them up.
And let them suffer. Like, let them wait for the other shoe to drop. I'm sure that's where Harvey's feeling. I'm sure that might even be what Wendy's feeling, or maybe she doesn't have anything to do with it. But I think that they're always going to be waiting for that other shoe to drop.
You still have somebody out there that you always wanted to nab and you never got him?
Mm.
You ever sit outside their house at night smoking a cigarette?
No, I can't say
no.
I with a reed in their pond out back, behind their house. And night vision goggles don't work underwater as the battery gets corroded.
I like the idea of you like being in a pond, breathing through a reed. Sorry, this is so stupid. I'm cutting this part.
Don't you dare.
All right, guys, that's it for the arrest of Donna Adelson. Just satisfying. Not a whole lot of in-depth coverage there, but the Donna Adelson trial starts, I believe it is next week. And it's all going to come out, and we're going to be here for it. You're going to see us at all kinds of different times, depending on what happens in the trial. So make sure you're hitting like, make sure you're hitting subscribe so that whenever we go live with Donna Adelson trial coverage, you are here for it. Don't miss out. We're going to be just keeping up with the case as we go forward from here. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Drew, thanks for your insights on this one. Watch all these videos.
That one and this one.